See, dear Lord Almighty, I got all these buttons over here, and sometimes I get too excited. We're good. It's time for the weekly three. There was a lot of stuff to choose from this week because it's wrestling, and ever since they started giving us a peek behind the curtain, seems like every week there's some other crazy stuff. Before I even start on the weekly three, there's an honorable mention I would like to throw out before we get started to get your take on friends, and that's the whole. I said whole, yeah. That was for Naya. Um, the whole thing in the contract, the WWE is not letting their wrestlers talk about people, brands, anything in any of their tweets or social media feeds or anything like that. And they're saying they're going to reprimand them. One strike is a warning. Two strike, you'll get fined. Three strikes, you'll be suspended. Um, I want to get all everybody's take on this. How do you guys feel about that? Oh
That's
wow,
too much control.
too much control.
Yeah,
It's excessive.
yeah. I
Somebody's kids partying or something. I hear something in the background there.
No kids for me, so I don't have any here.
I don't think Meemaw's throwing a party.
No, maybe we're getting also be here.
Her
Meemaw
that
said,
old tablet.
Meemaw said, Tommy's doing the show. It's our chance. Time to get loose.
I'll say this on the whole thing is that I think it's absolutely ludicrous that they think they can own somebody's social media. I can understand the name if you own the likeness to somebody's ring name or whatever it is, but
Right.
to say that they own them like as a whole as their social media, no, that person, if they're independently doing that on their own and they registered it under their name and their thing, if they're using that WWE brand name and they leave the company, they can have the right to do what Ryback did, change it over and use your own name if it's not owned by the WWE. There's no reason that they should own somebody's Twitter account. That's ludicrous.
Well, see, I beg to differ. Um, Sonny, I'll let you touch on this before I give my 2 cents.
I agree. I don't know how they're going to monitor it. That's a lot of people and a lot of tweets to be monitoring. I don't agree with it at all. It's just censorship at this point.
It is, but at the same time, you got to remember WWE is a business, and you said it was controlling, which it is controlling, but they own the likeness of these characters, and if they're using another platform to get over, I heard that Lana made like $600,000 last year from different advertisements she ran with Bang and other sponsorships on her Instagram videos, and it's a tough plank to walk there because on one hand I understand what you guys are saying. It's too much control. They shouldn't, not let these individuals, make money other ways to do their own independent stuff. I know that was a lot of reason why Miro wanted out of there because they started on the whole, you can't, do your Twitch thing anymore, and then Zelina Vega, and there's probably more that's not popping off at the top of my head, but on the other hand, as a businessman, if you have a wrestling company like the WWE, I'm not just talking about some independent down the road here. The WWE is one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world, if not the biggest. And in my eyes, it's the same as you going over to another show to advertise their product. I'm not very great with my verbiage, but essentially that is an argument I can understand from the WWE perspective of, hey, you're contracted to us. Your likeness is contracted to us. Therefore, you cannot go outside of our platform to put over other people without our consent. And
But it goes back to the independent contractor debate too. They're independent contractors, so yeah, the WWE owns the likeness to that name. But look at Zelina Vega's case. She wasn't using Zelina Vega. She was using her real name of Thea Trinidad for her Twitch stream and everything like that. So yeah, people know her as a character, Zelina Vega. It's like me, my real name, Jonathan Wayland. I'm going to go work for someplace, and they hire me under that name. They might own certain aspects of my job or things that they might give me through that job, or if I have some type of agreement with them on something. But they don't own my name. They don't own my personal name and likeness. So that's like the source of contention that guys like Ryback and all them have had, and where they use it. They're not streaming under, the name Zelina Vega. She's streaming under Thea Trinidad. So that's where it gets that really gray area right there, and really makes it so for me that I have to align with the performers and the independent contractors.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that totally. Said make a little extra money. I mean, no.
You're muted, John. We can't hear you.
oh wow, I was wondering why Tommy was talking all over top of me there. That's why, huh? You guys seen Lyndon's comment? He said that's like Xavier Woods, Vince McMahon trying to take over his Up Up Down Down channel on YouTube. I don't think he should take it over, but it's kind of like the NCAA in some ways. If you guys remember, there was a punter a couple years ago that had a YouTube channel. I can't remember what school he played for, but there was a punter that had a YouTube channel that was very popular, and then he come to the university to kick for the university, and they told him that he wasn't allowed anymore because he was getting revenue from that YouTube channel, and they told him to either shut it down or he was not going to be able to play football anymore there. And I think he actually quit the team so he could keep his YouTube channel going. If I remember correctly, it was UCF, is what Lyndon says. But, like Michael Mann's saying here, he says any company you sign to a contract for will eventually crank the handle on you. Local TV guy here got internet famous for a minute. Eventually, the boss man shuts it down. I cannot fault the WWE for their. Obviously, we don't know all the ins and outs of why they're doing or what they're doing, but
Right.
If it was as black and white as what you were talking about, John, I'd have to side with the WWE here, because even if Zelina Vega was using, was it Thea Trinidad or something like that's her name? It don't matter. Even though you're not Zelina Vega, bitch, I ain't stupid. I know what the fuck you doing just because you changed your name. Because I'm pretty sure that the wrestlers have to sign over their actual name to the company when they sign these contracts until they're out of the contracts, and of course they can have their name back. But it's not as black and white as what you would think it could be. There's a lot of gray area there, and like I said,
and there's
Lana alone over $600,000. So that's $600,000. The WWE just told her, "Screw you, you can't have that."
Yeah.
But there's revenue splits and stuff too that they go through. So it depends upon the negotiated rate for a lot of people. Like look at Up Up Down Down. He started that really before I think he was in the WWE, or he started it right around that beginning time frame. WWE's promoted him and helped grow that channel for him, which I guarantee you they get a cut of his revenue from his YouTube channel or from whatever he gets off of that. Same thing if they were to align deals. I could understand that potentially. If they're under contract as independent contractors to WWE should get a revenue split if they're doing an endorsement or they're doing something else, or if they get it for them, or if they independently get one for themselves. I can understand that. But for them to take all the profits and not want to allow them to do anything about theirs is really the rough point for me.
And like I said, we don't know exactly what's going on yet with it. If we're not actually part of the situation, we have no idea. Here's a great point. Lennon Jr. says, don't they fall under independent contractors? I mean, exactly. You can't have the both worlds. Well, that's one thing about wrestling is they've had the best of both worlds for years, and you know, in a lot of ways, I don't support a union for professional wrestling, but in this instance, it would definitely support the wrestlers to have a union in a situation like this.
Well, it's kind of a mistake to have that stance right now because other companies like Impact and All Elite are promoting their entertainers' pages, YouTube pages, cameos. So, I mean, it's kind of a dumb position to put themselves in right now.
Well, I mean, yeah and no, Sonny, because really the kind of advertising that the WWE does for their wrestlers is unreal. You know, the amount of eyes they get on their wrestlers is, you know, next to none. But I just realized I should have changed the topic this week to the weekly 4 because usually we go through the weekly 3 pretty fast, but this is a topic that's not easily, you know, easy to debate. You know, there's no, you know, because you guys are still siding with the workers. Am I right?
Yep.
Tommy?
Oh, being a worker? Yeah, I side with the workers.
Well, I'm still siding with the WWE. So I think this is a conversation we can have for a long time and still not see eye to eye. So screw you guys. You're wrong. I'm right. Let's get the weekly 3 started. Weekly 3. Let's start out with this. During Triple H's TakeOver conference call, he was asked about incoming talent, specifically Brock Lesnar's lookalike, Parker Boudreaux. While speaking about Boudreaux, Triple H also name-dropped another name that is coming in the door, Rick Steiner's son, Bronson Rick Steiner. Do you guys think that we're going to get a second-generation Steiner brother in the WWE?
100%.
He looks
I
like $1
hope
million
so.
bucks.
He looks legit. I mean, just look at that picture of the kid. He was a beast in college and football, if you're a football fan. Yeah, he didn't play for the biggest school out there. He's probably would have been drafted in the NFL. I think maybe he even got extended some, you know, camp offers or whatever it was. But if he was a little bit bigger, he would have been an NFL guy, no doubt about it. His size for whatever for the draft just didn't get it for him. He's a great pickup for WWE, and there could be a great wave of some real blue chip prospects coming. Maybe we will see our next class of the Lesnars and the Cenas. Who knows? He looks like a real legit character to me.
Here's a callback. I got to put Kenny over real quick. He says, you guys better not start anything without JCC say so in revenue split. That's right, Kenny. You tell them. I'm excited to see what they're going to do. Hopefully they don't job him out and, you know, keep the Steiner name going. And if they do job him out, it's all right, kid. Run your contract out. Come to AEW. I'm sure they'll put you to work.
Let's move on. More like Scott Steiner.
What's that?
Looks more like Scott Steiner with all those
Well,
muscles.
Rick was going to work that day, Tommy, and Scott had to keep Mama Steiner company.
So let's go back here to the Stonies.
Right. They're got the same bloodline. You can't be talking about he look like Scott. Of course he does. It's his uncle.
Well, I mean, Rick was a little chubbier. Scott's got the muscles.
Yeah, and those were legitimate muscles, no enhancement needed, right?
That's right.
Sure. Let's move on, guys.
Yeah.
Number 2 this week. Sammy Guevara was set to appear for Impact Wrestling as part of the company's partnership with All Elite Wrestling. That did not happen, and controversy was sparked when Guevara was told to go home instead. The Spanish God didn't like the creative that Impact Wrestling had planned for him and suggested changes. The powers that be at Impact Wrestling did not like this, so they nixed the whole angle altogether. During Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer made it very clear that he heard the creative Sammy Guevara turned down was an idea that he should have debated to begin with. Black Taurus took Sammy's spot. We'll have to see what Black Taurus does during the next set of Impact tapings, because that is who filled in for the Spanish God. Apparently, it was a spot that Sammy Guevara should have turned down in the first place. Sonny, I'm going to let you have this one. Are you familiar with this Black Taurus?
Black Taurus.
Oh, I'm sorry. Taurus.
He's from AAA. Hey, I had to practice to say his name like quite a bit on my show, so
Okay.
I did. I'm not gonna lie, but he's from AAA. He's super impressive. I like him with Decay. It's like Decay's new monster because that's who he came out with at No Surrender on Saturday.
Okay, so do you think Sammy Guevara was supposed to be intertwined with Decay then?
See, that's where I'm like, I don't see that because he wouldn't fit with them at all. So if that's the angle, if that's the angle that he turned down, it makes sense. What would Sammy Guevara do with Decay? I mean, Crazy Steve and Rosemary are so different than him. I don't know what to say about that.
Tommy, do you think there's a chance that the internet is working us, and this is just part of the angle with Sammy on AEW to get him off TV altogether for a while and, keep it moving there?
Especially after what happened with him Wednesday when he quit the inner circle and things. But, I mean, like I said, putting him with Crazy Steve, if Crazy Steve wasn't Crazy Steve and just wrestled as Steve, that'd be a good tag team because they're about the same talent, but Crazy Steve's Crazy Steve. So,
yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense to me. Especially when he walked
this week. Oh, on Being the Elite this week, Sammy Guevara refused to defend the Being the Elite championship on BTE. He is only doing it on Sammy's vlog.
Well, I don't
and that's how they ended it.
He's got to get his own shit over. I understand that.
So I don't know if this is just them playing this up on every show that they can. I'm not sure what's going on here.
Well, it was reported that there's no heat on Sammy from AEW about this. So
it shouldn't be. But, I mean, it looked kind of funny him leaving out the stadium the other night with his bags and stuff and said he's going away for a while or whatever it was.
You say it looked kind of funny?
Yeah.
No, I thought it was good. Let him go away for a week or two or a month. Forget about him and bring him back and talk about a white hot baby face when he gets back.
Come back and surprise the inner circle.
But at the same time, like Sonny was mentioning with the Sammy vlogs and the Being the Elite, there's a lot of wrestling fans, myself included. I just watched Sammy's vlogs for the first time last week, and now I have to watch. Not only do I have to watch Being the Elite every week, now I got to watch Sammy vlogs because it's just as entertaining as Being the Elite. And if they're going to do this right, they got to get him not doing the vlogs and not being on the Elite. But the problem is they're not. He's not going to do that. I don't think.
And what also hurt him, he's just coming back. He hadn't been back long from being suspended over the Sasha Banks comment.
Don't start on that bullshit. That was just a heel trying to get heat. They need to sit their little crybaby asses down. That's all it was. What?
And he was gone, and then he came back there did this little run. Now he's going to be gone again.
He was only gone for like 2 weeks or something, 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, like 6 weeks, but.
Well, either way, Tommy, Sammy Guevara is the Spanish God. You put some respect on that name, pal.
Yeah. Oh, I like him. I ain't going to complain. I like him.
Well, he don't like you. He told me. He said, you that Tommy feller? Screw that guy.
Yeah. He's probably not the only person.
Let's keep it moving. Number one this week is touchy topic. WWE's 1992 Ring Boy scandal came to light in a big way recently. Tom Cole, who was 14 years old at the time of the alleged abuse, just recently committed suicide. It was previously reported that Tom Cole's depression was escalated due to how Pat Patterson was lionized after his passing. Patterson was not accused of any acts against Cole, but it was alleged that he knew about the abuse and allowed it to happen. Once again, Dave Meltzer discussed the claims that Lee Cole, Tom Cole's brother, has made about this situation. He said that the WWE paid him almost $20,000 years ago so he would move away and stop talking to the press about his brother's situation. Lee Cole made it clear that he will explore any legal action he can against the WWE following his brother's suicide. Wow. This is not a good look for wrestling. Honestly, guys, I didn't even realize this was a thing in 92. I wasn't watching at the time. I've since went back and educated myself on it. And this is not something, obviously it's not something the WWE wants out there, but ultimately it's not good for the wrestling business as a whole. Am I right?
Right. Well, Jim Cornette talks about it right after Pat Patterson's passing. If you go back to Jim Cornette's thing where they is talking about it, but yeah, it's not a good look, not at all.
John, how familiar are you with the 1992 Ring Boy scandal?
I watched the whole Phil Donahue episode the other day when the story came out.
I
Actually,
did too.
It was crazy, wasn't it?
I liked Phil Donahue's demeanor, though. He's like, no, fuck you. This is my show. I loved it.
He was a tough cookie back in the day. I mean, the stuff really is out there against them in this case. And I mean, I understand post-traumatic stress disorder very well and how it works. And it's a shame to see whatever happened to this poor man, that he ended up taking his life because of it. It's pretty freaking terrible. It's WWE trying to pay people off when they mess up things or when their employees mess up things back there. I mean, people will love Patterson to death, and I mean the contributions he made to the business is amazing. But the stuff that was in this case, and people have collaborated this story, or corroborated this story a million times. And Rowdy Piper was even one of them, who's spoken out against the sexual abuse that he faced at the hands of Pat Patterson. So there's a lot of evidence against him, and I don't know the statute of limitations on this case, but I don't know if this guy's brother will be able to sue on his behalf or anything. This was a long time ago. Statute of limitations could be, who knows. It's just a really sad situation to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad, obviously that the gentleman killed himself. It's even more sad if there were instances that Vinnie Mac knew about. And what really surprised me was Pat Patterson and the other two gentlemen, I can't remember their name, left the company. Pat Patterson wasn't gone long. He come back, and I guess it was just a sweep under the rug, and let's keep it moving, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I think he was back in less than a year.
It wasn't long. I know that.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
It really is. I don't know what you do there. Jeremy Robinson says, wonder if any effect the cancel culture will take. Honestly, I'm surprised there hasn't been more backlash since this come out a couple days ago. Jeremy says, I would assume his brother to buy out and signed a non-disclosure. Now he is dead. His brother is free to freak freely about it. That's easy for me to say.
It's a good point, though, he made. The NDA, and who knows what actually went on there. So it's going to be interesting maybe to see some more details come out in the near future.
Well, John, Sonny, I know you guys aren't familiar, but, me and Tommy knows a couple gentlemen, here in West Virginia that were involved with the wrestling business that ended up coming out of child pornography and child, I guess molesting is what you call it. One of the guys me and Tommy have known for 20 years had no idea.
Wow.
No idea.
25 years, yeah. And it just out of the blue, seen it on the news.
Yep.
Wow.
It's
Crazy.
crazy. But fuck those guys. That's all I'm saying. And if Pat Patterson was diddling a 14-year-old boy, fuck him too.
Absolutely. I never
I
knew
agree.
anything about this till the other day. Pretty disturbing, not going to lie. Do I think Vince handles situations appropriately? No. Am I surprised?
He's
no.
a shrewd businessman. Of course he don't. He's going to, constantly sweep shit under the rug because he's got to keep face. You know what I mean?
And you could see that in the
Absolutely.
Phil Donahue interview, how he handled himself. It's the same with the Bob Costa stuff back in the day. He's very defensive to certain things, and the steroids was always the big one for him too. And this is another one you could see he was extremely defensive on. And he held Pat Patterson in like the highest esteem. He looked at him like family, and that's why he was employed there for all those years. So I bet you this eats him up with this whole thing coming back out again and then bringing it up.
Tommy, your buddy Chris, she says for educational purposes, statute of limitations is 3 years from the time of the incident. If reported to police, it could be 10 years. So either way, statute of limitations is up.
It's past. If she would know, she's a judge.
She is a judge.
So,
Well, that's
She is a
a good
judge.
person to have on your side, Tommy.
That's right.
Absolutely.
She helped me with my divorce 10 years ago. So, she's helped me out.
I'll tell you what, I don't even want to talk about my divorce. Yeah, let's keep it moving.